Hey everybody, welcome to Shadow and LightWork, channel all about tarot, astrology, energy work, and spiritual well-being. I am Michelle, and spring is right around the corner. Today is Friday, March 19th, and tomorrow is the first day of spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. And I was just, so I'll introduce the tarot deck. Thought we'd do a reading with the Brady Tarot, the beautiful colors and scenes of nature in the tarot. And I was just reading a bit in the Farmer's Almanac about spring. Some interesting facts. I've always been a huge fan of the Farmer's Almanac. It has such an interesting combination of different bits of information that all come together in one place. Everything from dates and times of different aspects of the seasons, when to plant, when to harvest, what does, I was just reading this section about what does spring mean. The word equinox means equal nights. It's the Latin for equal night. And this I really didn't know, but it makes sense. Equinoxes, the spring and the fall, the vernal and autumnal, are the only two times a year that the sun rises due east and sets due west for everybody on the planet. That's pretty cool. So if you want to know where east and west are in your neighborhood, magician, lovely. Take a look at where the sun rises and where the sun sets on the first day of spring and the first day, of fall. Okay, what else? There's another bit of information here. Okay, this little bit from the Farmer's Almanac. Ancient equinox traditions, the snake of sunlight. So scientific explanation aside, our ancestors were more connected to the sun than we are today. They observed its pathway across the sky. They tracked how the sunrise, sunset, and day length changed. And we have two cards together, so I'm going to put that back. Two more cards separately. So they tracked how the sunrise, sunset, and day length changed. Strength in reverse. Using the sun and moon as clock and calendar. There are many ancient sites that mark the equinoxes and solstices. One of the most famous ancient spring, there we go, the last one, the Hanged One. Okay, I'll just read the rest of that passage. One of the most famous ancient spring equinox celebrations was at Chichen Itza in Mexico. The Mayans built a huge pyramid around the 1000 AD, and the play of the sun's light on it, the pyramid, signals the beginning of the seasons. On the spring equinox, it looks like a huge snake slithering down the steps. Mayans called this day the return of the sun serpent. And I often, so for me, taking a hike out in the woods, that's one of the signs that kind of represents spring for me, is seeing a baby snake out in the woods on the trail. They're pretty active this time of year, starting to become active. Certain flowers that are blooming have always signaled spring for me, certain birds that are migrating back to the area. So leave a comment. Let me know what represents spring for you. What do you see, experience that represents the arrival of spring? Okay, let's get into the reading. So this is an interesting combination. And again, we have a few reversed cards this week. We've seen a few come up. So we have Strength in the reverse and the Hanged One in reverse. And again, the Hanged One is interesting to interpret in the reverse because normally the card represents taking a pause, and so the possum, a pause for reflection and inspiration. So here we have the possum hanging from a tree upside down, and that's the traditional representation, the hangman. It's a position that he chooses. It's almost like a yogic pose, but it's a position that that character chooses to be in, to take a pause, to get a unique perspective, which is the part about hanging upside down, to see, to hopefully have some enlightenment or inspiration. Okay, and that's the major arcana card. We actually have 3 major arcana cards, so this is a big message coming in for the weekend. And it's similar to the theme we've kind of beginning this week. Okay, so we also have Strength in reverse. This is card number 8 of the major arcana. And Strength represents the radiant expression of integrity and power. That's what I think of when I see strength. So here we have, in this picture, Mama Bear is standing her ground. And she has, looks like a rattlesnake and a figure 8 entwined around her feet, which she's not at all disturbed about. But she is protecting her brood, her territory, her integrity. She's standing her ground. But this is in reverse. So in the reverse, it can indicate self-doubt, lack of confidence, being a bit sluggish or worn out. It can represent a bit of burnout. But it's acting out of a place of, it can also represent acting out of a place of fear. So not being at your best. Something is tripping you up. Something is shifted your perspective in a way, and this came out in reverse, so we could turn that back around again. Shifting your perspective in a way that's kind of holding you back. So we can be talking about a fear, a doubt, self-doubt, but getting stuck in a situation that's not comfortable and not productive. Okay, and then we have as the focus or the subject, the Magician. So the Magician is the first card in the major arcana, number 1, where we have the Fool at 0. The Fool represents the potential of the journey, the potential of a situation. The first card is the first step in the Fool's journey. So it is about the magical process of taking an idea and communicating it, taking an idea and making it manifest. So it's taking that inspiration, that concept, and using the tools of creation that you have at hand to make it real. So here we have the raven with all 4 elements. So we have air represented by the feather, fire represented by the wand, there's another feather there, water represented by the horns, and earth represented by the roots. So the Magician has all the tools necessary, needed to communicate, manifest a concept or an idea. The Magician has the power to bring that idea forth, to make it manifest. It's really about creating something. But these 2 cards have kind of put that creative process on hold. And there's something that's present that's kind of draining you, taking away that sense of confidence. So it really, the Magician is not at his best without that sense of fire energy, without that sense of direction. It can, the manifestation can spin out in all sorts of odd directions and unproductive activities. It's scattered energy. Okay, let's pull another card and see if there's some more insight into this. I'll be right back. Okay, so I went and grabbed the Messenger Oracle, which we used a good bit earlier this month. I wanted to see if there was any more insights or clarity regarding this message. And the colors in these cards are just extraordinary. I hope it's coming through. Okay. Interesting. See the signs. So let me let you get a look right there. And we had that message come up earlier this week too, about seeing the signs, about staying alert to the messages in dreams and in nature, and what do you see around you this time of year that represents spring for you. Okay, let me read a section out of the Messenger Oracle for the interpretation of this card. Okay. We are often sent small signs in the form of synchronicities and coincidences. Be watchful. Do not overlook them in the everyday rush of life. Words, numbers, and symbols that repeat, animals and birds that appear in your path, people who come in and out of your life at odd or similar moments, and those flashes of knowing when you believe something will happen with every fiber of your being. Wow, okay, I'm going to finish that, but I'm really excited about this message. These are all things you are meant to see and hear. Messages from Gaia and Great Spirits sent to aid your journey. Okay, and that has been the message for the week. So if we're in the process of manifesting a creative energy, out there building and communicating, something that's very important, and we had the World card too this week. So the World card represented the completion of a cycle, and this represents the beginning of the cycle. So we've taken something from a position of maturity, a project that's at the end of its life cycle, or has reached a major stage of completion, a benchmark, and we're starting that process over again, or a new cycle in the development of that project, or a new cycle in the development of ourselves. And it seems like something has interrupted that process and kind of cut it off at the knees. It's instilling you with a bit of question, self-questioning, self-doubt. And it's kind of turned you around to lose track of where you've been or held you back. That self-doubt has held you back. Okay. So the See the Signs card is, if you're stuck, if you need a little inspiration, take a moment, listen to your dreams, listen to your intuition, but take a moment to get a higher perspective. And we had that card earlier this week too, about looking at things from a higher perspective, being open to signs and input from others that might be coming from a different direction. Okay, so I think that message is pretty clear. Stay open, stay aware, enjoy the signs of spring, and something will come along to turn these cards around, bring back your self-confidence and your direction, and help you to continue moving on in a productive way as the Magician. Okay, I am going to close the reading there. I hope this is helpful information, and namaste. And look forward to a pick a card reading tomorrow. Okay, have a great week, and namaste.